then fortunately, we got hot at the right time, and it ended up being a very good year. Like I said, apologize about the World Series, but to get there, we were one of the final two standing. That's pretty good. It's not good enough. But it really was. It was really a strange year, and I think I've been talking to a lot of people in a lot of different interviews I do, and I think the emotional ebb of the fans is one thing. During the course of the season, 4-game losing streak, the emotional ebb is one thing. But with us, the one thing I'm proud of last year, I think we stayed the course. We didn't panic. The guys didn't panic. We just stayed after it because I really felt that we had the best team in the division, and I felt that we would win the division. But there were times, obviously, we weren't playing very good. But as a manager and players, you don't want to overreact. You can't get caught up in the same emotions that you guys do. You're at the coffee shop or work the next day after a game, and Leyland blew the game. Lamont sent the wrong guy. Verlander had a bad game. You know what? That's all good. Believe me, that's all good stuff. But from a manager's standpoint, you really can't get involved in that, because if you do, you send the wrong message to your players.
When you look back on last season, was ultimately the way it turned out one of the more satisfying years you've had?
Yeah, but I'm not one of those guys that said, ha, 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 I told you so. It was a very rewarding season because we went to the World Series. And I think, whether you're going to win it or lose it this year, if by chance that happened again, if I go into spring training this year and somebody could tell me, you guys are going to go to the World Series this year, they won't necessarily be able to tell you who's going to win it. But, that's pretty good, and that's what you strive for. You strive for the right to play for the ring. This is a beautiful ring. This is an American Championship ring from 2006, but it's really not the one that we want. I have one of the other ones from 1997, and that's the one we want. But, if you go into spring training and somebody says, you know what, you guys are going to be playing in October, November in the World Series, that's pretty good.
Jim, everybody's wondering, what are you going to do with the closer? You got, Valverde's gone. That was your closer the last couple of years. Now you got a kid and Rondon, and then it kind of looks like bullpen by committee looking.
Well, that's why I like sessions like this, because I actually get to know you a little bit, and you get to know me a little bit. So I explain the closer situation. I don't know what I'm going to do. But I want to take that in depth a little bit, just so you understand, because everybody says, well, Dotel pitched good. Coke was fantastic down the stretch. Benoit can save games. We have a young fellow by the name of Rondon. So I just want to explain this. This is what I truly believe in my heart. I think Phil Coke can save a game. He can save 2 games. Whether he would hold up trying to save games every day physically and mentally, I'm not sure about that. Benoit physically, I don't think could do it. That's not disrespectful to Benoit. He doesn't bounce back. That's why Valverde was really, I know he blew some saves at the end there, but he was absolutely tremendous here because he knew how to turn the page when he blew a save. He could pitch almost every day. Dotel, if you remember right, I tried to save a game, and I love Dotel. He did a fantastic job with us, but I tried to save a game with him last year in Seattle when the other guys weren't available. I don't know if you remember that game. He left me sleepless in Seattle, I can tell you that. So, you got to be careful of that. Hopefully the kid can do it, but we won't really know until he blows a save. And you don't want guys to blow a save, but you really won't know probably what you have unless he, supposing Verlander's pitching, here's this young kid, and now he's got to come in there and save a game for Justin Verlander in the 9th inning. That's not that easy. And if he happens to let that game get away, then how does he react the next time? If he can turn the page and come back the next day and save a game, then you probably got something. But if he's going to panic and get nervous, you don't know. And we'll never know that until we put him out there. Goes 100 miles an hour, I'm going to put him out there in spring training. I'm going to get to know everything I can about this kid. He's not going to know that I'm getting to know him, but I'm going to be shadowing him in spring training just to get a feel for his toughness, whether I think he's the type of guy that can do that. So I hope that explains it a little bit. But, people that don't think you need a closer to win, I totally disagree. Look at all the good teams. Rivera with the Yankees, Papelbon with Boston, Liz with Philadelphia when they were good. Most teams that win have a pretty dominant closer.
The other question, I think a lot of people wonder about the end of the rotation because you got 2 candidates for the 5th starting spot, Rick Porcello and Drew Smiley, have both done pretty well. Who's going to be your 5th starter?
I don't know the answer to that other than the fact that right now it gives us good depth because we have Smiley and Porcello. I feel comfortable that I could use either one of them. I don't know what's going to happen with that. There's been some talk about Porcello. That's really Dave's area. I don't get into that. But I will say this, I love the fact that we have those 6 right now because if you look last year, Pfister missed some time, Scherzer missed some time. You can't take for granted that those guys are going to go out there 35, 40 times every year. That might not happen. So we don't have much depth after the 6. We have some promising kids that really have shown that they're probably not ready for this, the speed of the game up here just yet. It's a little bit different, when you're in AAA and AA, and that there's only one tier of the stadium. And you get up here and there's 3 tiers and the lights are a little brighter and everything, it gets a little bit different. Especially after you guys had a few beers about the 6th inning. It can get a little rough at times.
See, I'm talking about another spot. Andy Dirks had a terrific year for you guys. Andy Dirks, he had a terrific year for you guys. And he's left-handed hitter. Can he play every day there? Do you need to have somebody in the right-handed platoon? Is Garcia ready to, step into that role at the beginning of the year? Does he need more seasoning? What are you going to do about left field on it?
Well, I think I offended the fans a little bit last year when I was talking about Lion stuff, and I apologize for that. I didn't mean it that way, but I have the luxury of knowing the players better than you do, what's going on in the clubhouse, injuries-wise, who can play 14, 15 days in a row and still perform and not. So I think Andy Dirks is a very good player. I really do. But I do think I have to be careful with him. If you try to overplay him, I think there's a chance that you might get him hurt a little bit, or you might not get the production. And I love Andy Dirks. Left field, we're going to take a look at Bosch. He did some great things. He obviously had a bad year last year. Will the real Brennan Bosch please stand up? I don't know. I really don't know. Quentin Berry from time to time gave us spurts last year of some excitement because of his speed. I don't think he got thrown out on a base pass all year. So, we have a left-handed hitting left fielder. I'm not sure that we have the right-hand hitter to, insert in there against some nasty left-handers like a CC Sabathia or somebody like that. I know you're going to run me out of this building right now, but to be honest with you, the perfect guy for that would have been Ryan Rayburn if he would do what he did before. I mean, what I mean by that is I screwed him up last year. It was my fault. I told him he was going to play every day, and he couldn't handle it. He was like a deer in headlights. He just couldn't handle it. And I thought we'd have an offensive second baseman that wasn't really, really good defensively, but would, he hit 15, 16, 14 home runs 3 years in a row as a part-time player. That's pretty good. I made a mistake.
What about now, though? Do you need to write? Who would you put if you were going to have that nasty lefty? Bosch, he did hit a couple home runs off Sale last year. I mean, that was one thing he did, but just on a situation with the right-handed hitting left fielder.
Yeah, I don't want to sound negative because I'm not. I'm a very positive person, whether you believe that or not. But I think that Garcia, to be honest with you, showed some signs. He has not done very well in winter ball this year. Now, in saying that, I think he is a top-notch prospect. I think Garcia is probably going to be a star or probably not really make it at all. And I think he has a chance to be a star. But we have to make a decision. Do you want him to sit around and play once a week when they throw a lefty, or do you want him to get 500 at-bats in the minor leagues? I would prefer the latter. But I have a boss that, ultimately will make that decision. If he says, I want you to take him, I take him. And that's the way that works. I don't know if you knew that, but this is the way it works. Dave gives me the team, although I have a lot of input. But ultimately, he gives you the players, and then I manage the players. I would like to see Garcia myself get a little more season, maybe 500 bats at AAA, because I think when he